All right, it's day 16 of 49ers Intel. Time flies, doesn't it? We've done 16 of these already, plus a whole lot more stuff. A lot of articles, a lot of 49ers coverage during what has been a very eventful training camp, especially here on social media. So the 49ers just finished up another block of practices, 3 practices, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Tomorrow is just a walkthrough, so no practice. I will not be heading down to Santa Clara. I will, however, be heading to Levi's Stadium on Saturday. That is 49ers Broncos, 5:30 p.m. preseason week 2. But let's talk about what happened today. Let's delve into the intel. I think the title today, I'm reading my own title. I put it up there a few minutes ago. Why Brock Purdy has been San Francisco's best quarterback so far this camp, and who will the 49ers cut? We're going to start talking about that 53-man projection. They have to cut down for the 90-man roster now in less than 2 weeks. But let's answer the question. Why has Brock Purdy been the 49ers' best quarterback by far this camp? What do we look at to evaluate that? Because it's hard to evaluate on an apples-to-apples basis. Purdy's working against the first team, so you have to trust Kyle Shanahan with that, right? Normally, best quarterback works with the first team. But if Purdy has to work against the first-team defense, it's obviously a little bit tougher than Trey Lance and Sam Darnold getting to work with the second-team defense, and in Brandon Allen's case, the third-team defense. So it's the comparison there is going to be a little bit difficult to make. You see all the interceptions that Brock Purdy has thrown. He's also probably working on some different stuff against the defense that's preying on the football. I talked about the interceptions yesterday. It's not something that Kyle Shanahan is worried about, but there is one specific area of performance that we can look at to appraise quarterback play. And it's where it becomes a little more constricted, where there's a little less room to operate. And that is the red zone. Brock Purdy has been dominant in the red zone. Take a look at these numbers so far through 16 practices at training camp. Red zone work only. Brock Purdy, 8 touchdowns, an interception, and that's 8 touchdowns and 19 pass attempts, by the way. 1 interception. Lance, 6 of 14, under 50% completion percentage in the red zone. So is Sam Darnold at 6 of 13. Darnold with 5 touchdowns, Lance with 2. Brandon Allen, limited time in the red zone earlier in camp, 5 of 6, 2 touchdowns. But, I mean, it's night and day between Purdy and everybody else here. Purdy has been precise in the closed confines of the red zone, and it's so important to be good at that part of the field because most all quarterbacks in the modern NFL can orchestrate an offense that moves the ball in between the 20s. But it's punching it in the red zone. That is what's going to take you to the next level. In 2021, 2 seasons ago, 49ers were the top red zone team in football. They actually regressed a little bit, but we're still good last season, 2022 in the red zone. We'll see how they are this year, but Purdy is performing really, really well in training camp. Another touchdown today, this one to Ross Dwelly at practice. And I mentioned it earlier on Instant Reaction to Practice. The throw to Deebo Samuel that Brock Purdy made from about the 20-yard line, so a red zone throw, out pattern. Deebo was down near the 1 or the 2-yard line. That ball had to be placed perfectly. I mean, it was an outside the numbers throw. It had to be placed perfectly on the sideline to beat the coverage of Deommodore Lenoir so that Deebo Samuel can make the catch, drag his toes in bounds. I mean, Purdy put that ball where it had to be. And you watch these practices, Purdy is putting the football where it has to be on these deep outs as if he had no elbow surgery. He really does look strong. He does look crisp on those out pattern throws. And it's just funny to me because you'll see some people who I don't think know what they're talking about, but I mean, you see it coming from the stands when the practices were open. Oh, Brock Purdy, the arm strength isn't there. It's like, what are you talking about? I mean, I think the arm strength was back from day one. The endurance might not have been fully there. He had to take every third day off. This week, we saw Brock Purdy pass 3 days in a row for the first time, though, since the elbow surgery. The arm strength is absolutely there. This guy can throw it to the sidelines with zip. I don't think the deep shots are Brock Purdy's strength per se, but I think those intermediate routes, he definitely can throw the hell out of them. And he doesn't have Jimmy Garoppolo's same quick release. He's got a quick release, but it doesn't have the release that makes his really short stuff totally elite. I think Brock Purdy actually lives in that intermediate range. His intermediate yards per attempt last year was higher than anything Pro Football Focus has on record, and the record goes back to like 2003. So Purdy over the middle, intermediate passes, 10 to 20 air yards. It was something like 10.6 yards per attempt. He's really, really good on the intermediate routes. And today he was hitting those sideline routes for the 49ers today. And, the intermediate stuff, that's great for the red zone because you're an intermediate distance away from the end zone and you've got to carve up a smaller portion of the field. The defense has a big advantage in the red zone in that they have very powerful and strong 12th and 13th defender, maybe even a 14th defender in the back line, right? The back line of the end zone is defense. You can't step on it if you're a receiver. You can't step over it if you're a receiver. A quarterback has to work within those close quarters. And I think Brock Purdy has done that really, really well so far this training camp. One more time, another look at the numbers from this camp of the 49ers red zone work. I need to turn the fan on. Let me turn the fan on really quickly here in the room. There we go. That sucker's turning on. And I am back. I don't think you could even see the fan. It was one of the rare San Francisco apartments that has a ceiling fan. They're not too common, I feel, in the city. I've lived in a couple with a ceiling fan. I've been all over the place in San Francisco. North Beach, Mission, Russian Hill, Hayes Valley. Am I missing one? DuBose Triangle. That's a good spot, too. The glory of renting instead of owning in San Francisco. You could try all these neighborhoods out. The Marina probably still on the list. Probably like visiting the Marina more than living there. But I know some of you live in the Marina. I've actually seen some comments before. I was actually out on Chestnut yesterday for happy hour. Okay, anyway, fan is on. We're ready to talk some more 49ers. Cam Latu. Oh my goodness, this is turning brutal. Absolutely brutal for the rookie tight end out of Alabama. Dropped 2 more passes today. I would say one really bad drop. One would have been a tougher catch. The bad drop, though, was in the end zone. Red zone work. Sam Darnold, crosser for Latu. Hit him in the hands. It wasn't a long pass. It shouldn't have been a difficult catch. Latu dropped it. He's got several drops on training camp. It's really a thing. I mean, it's become an issue. And as that ball trickled away, Latu was running by the pylon, and he just punted the pylon. He stepped up and he kicked the pylon in frustration. I mean, this is getting to the point now where I know I titled this video Potential Cuts for the 49ers. If this keeps up, I don't see how the 49ers can carry Cam Latu on their 53-man roster. The ship has sailed for this team just carrying 3rd and 4th round picks who are rookies just because they're 3rd and 4th round picks. 49ers are trying to win a Super Bowl. Same thing, you can't compound a mistake or you can't, just commit to a sunk cost. And the 49ers aren't doing that at the quarterback position. And I'm not saying the Lance thing, I mean, we can't, the jury is still out in many ways, but the 49ers are in a situation where they have new information about their quarterback room since they obtained Trey Lance. Brock Purdy is clearly better right now. So you can't compound a potential error of the past by playing Trey Lance over Brock Purdy. In that same way, if Cam Latu keeps on dropping passes this training camp, then you can't compound the error of drafting him by forcing him onto the 53-man roster when there are other more capable and more dependable names involved. So another drop today for Cam Latu definitely was not pretty for the 49ers. I think there's a chance they carry only 3 tight ends on this 53-man roster just because it's so damn crowded. And we know that Dwelly's dependable. We know that Troy Fumagalli could be dependable. I don't think he's going to make it. Charlie Werner was above Dwelly on the depth chart for most of last season. So if they only carry 3, Kyle's always carried 4 before. But if this roster's too crowded to carry 4, it's going to be George. In the 3, it's going to be George Kittle. It's going to be Ross Dwelly and Charlie Werner. Braden Willis, they could probably get him onto the practice squad. He's been a lot more steady than Cam Latu. But my main point is that in any of these projections, 3 or 4 tight ends, if camp ended today, I don't see how you can carry Cam Latu on the team. You cannot compound an error, and it probably was an error to draft him in the third round. Full transparency, my mock draft, I thought the 49ers were going to draft Cam Latu based on my research, based on what they liked. But I thought they were going to take him in the 5th round. And that's when most NFL teams thought that Cam Latu was going to go, the 5th round. 49ers used a late 3rd round pick, but still a third-round pick, and they really just leapt in front of the line for Cam Latu, a player who, by and large, was not expected to go until later. And they knew that he was a project, and he knew that he was a fairly recent conversion from the defensive line, but he didn't have that major of a drop issue at Alabama. It could just be that Latu truly is swimming in the playbook. But again, this is a performance-driven business. And say that Cam Latu continues dropping passes or doesn't really, steadies out, but doesn't really impress anybody from here on out. The track record of the drops that he already has, I mean, the rest of the league has already learned of this. And the 49ers picked him in the third round, right? But the rest of the league, it seemed, wasn't really projecting him until the fifth round. If you combine the fact that Latu's reputation around the rest of the NFL is probably one of a fifth round pick with all these drops, I don't know if there's going to be another team, if the 49ers waive him, that would be willing to take them onto their practice squad. So that's one of the calculations the 49ers are going to have to make. And they're going to do this at several positions, right? Guys that you cut, how good of a chance do you have to bring him back to the practice squad if you so choose to do that? Because rookies who you waive, there are two types of cuts. There's a waive and there's a release. A release, that's for veterans. The veteran can sign anywhere. But rookies are exposed to waivers. That means all teams around the NFL have a chance to get a piece of them in the waiver order, right? The Rams claimed Baker Mayfield last year. He was still on the rookie contract, so they claimed him off of waivers, and nobody else beyond that can get their hands on a player who is claimed on waivers. So when you look at Cam Latu and you see, okay, his stock coming out of the draft in the eyes of most of the NFL was like a fifth or a sixth round pick, and he dropped all these passes, I think the 49ers could probably confidently say this guy's going to clear waivers. Nobody's going to claim him if and when they do waive him. And then if they want to continue his development, if they think that he's getting close, they can re-sign him to the practice squad. But him punting that pylon today after dropping yet another pass, not good news for Cam Latu, and not good news for the 49ers, who spent the third round pick on him. Sam Darnold had some trouble today, 1 for 7. His biggest trouble was throwing into the seams. I have it here. Let's get the notepad back out. So Darnold opened up with 3 straight incompletions. Then he had a completion to Ronnie Bell, and then he finished up with 3 straight incompletions. He missed Troy Fumagalli in the seam. He then missed Chris Conley in the seam. There was a drop, and then he opened up with a drop throw to Cameron Latu. So Latu dropped his first pass. That was a more difficult catch, and Latu caught the easier one. Ronnie Bell was Sam Darnold's favorite receiver, but the throws into the seams, those are important in a tight end-based offense. We've seen Dwelly do a lot of seam stuff. I still remember against the Rams, Week 16, 2019, 49ers Super Bowl season, right, when they went to the Super Bowl. Lost to Kansas City. I'm sure you already knew that. There was a seam throw to Ross Dwelly where he just got rocked by the safety, but he held on. Dependability for Ross Dwelly. Well, dependability needs to extend to the quarterback too. And this type of Shanahan offense with these tight ends, these versatile skill position weapons, you're going to need to take advantage of the seams. That's a weak spot in a lot of defenses these days. It's a spot that's open, and you could beat the zone by attacking that seam. Or, I mean, if it's man coverage, you see the 49ers have a comparative advantage defensively. Dallas tried to run something in the playoffs down the seam against the 49ers. It was CeeDee Lamb, their top receiver. But Fred Warner, 49ers top linebacker, actually blanketed him. So the seam, if you can control it, and the 49ers can with their speed at linebacker on defense, and on offense, they try to control it with their weapons who are so versatile. If you can control it, you're going to go a long way in the NFL. And Sam Darnold today had some trouble throwing into the seams. Now, I hadn't seen this kind of issue from Sam Darnold's practices before today, but he was 1 of 7 today. So it's worth noting. But even as we noted, we can say that maybe Darnold will be able to turn it around. Another interesting note from practice today is that Jake Moody got iced by his own special teams coordinator, Brian Schneider. Thought that was funny, but Moody was successfully iced by Josh McDaniels, the Raiders head coach, in the game on Sunday. And because he was successfully iced, well, Brian Schneider said, you better get out there and overcome this timeout that I'm about to call right before you kick. And Moody did. he made both kicks. So that competition continues. 49ers have been really happy with Zane Gonzalez. Moody, obviously the favorite, but Moody did not show out this past weekend. All right, let's take a look at the potential cuts and a look at the roster. I'm going to be going live again after Intel a little bit later tonight. So be ready for that. We've also got a Here's the Catch podcast coming. So we'll have 2 longer shows today. All right. So here's the roster. You can follow along. I have it here. I could actually share it with you in the comment section. Go ahead and check it out. So potential cuts, definitely Cameron Latu. By the way, there you go. Click on that link and you could follow along. I just don't see how Latu, if he continues making these errors, makes this team. And, you know, the 49ers are too loaded. They're too much in a win now mode. It's just something that they may have to bite the bullet on. Then you go to the quarterback room, probably Brandon Allen. I wouldn't buy into all this Trey Lance drama. I think people make the lows lower and the highs higher with these quarterbacks. And I think it's as important to keep it as even keeled as possible. Has Lance struggled? Well, he did definitely struggle on Sunday. Has he been more accurate throughout training camp than in the past? Also, yes. So both of those things can be simultaneously true, which is what makes it confusing, I would say. We're going to take a look at the roster again. Here we go. And go through. I think Kalon LeBourne's going to end up on the practice squad. I think Jack Coletto, backup fullback, is going to end up on the practice squad. You know, Tay Martin or Chris Conley or even Willie Snead, all 3 of these guys are having very nice training camps. But can you fit them on the 53-man roster? Then there's tight end. I was talking about the possibility of the 49ers only taking 3. And I've still got Latu on here. I don't think Latu can be on this tight end list anymore. I just don't think that it works for the 49ers from a numbers perspective. He's dropping that many passes. We're going to put Cameron Latu over here. And I think I'm going to have Dwelly make the team, guys. So I could actually put Cameron Latu right here. Dwelly's not a rookie. Unhighlight him. Latu Fumagalli. Then the big debate is do they carry Willis on the 53 or not? Probably not, but I've got him on there for now, but I'm over the limit, so I'm going to have to fix this as we move forward. We do a video tonight. What could the 49ers have done differently in Trey Lance's development? You'll see what the answer is a little bit later. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Be sure to check out the 49ers 90-man roster projection. Got a podcast to do. Here's the catch coming up here in a bit. So this has been 49ers Intel for day 16. It's getting real out there on that practice field. The dog days of summer are certainly real. Good thing the 49ers have an off day tomorrow. Everybody take care. Make sure to tune in a little bit later for what the 49ers could have done differently in Trey Lance's development. Take care.